is News Channel 8.
Good to have you along on this Monday afternoon in the nation's capital. We get started this work and school week afternoon with a remarkable collaborative effort by local police, fire, and federal law enforcement agencies. And together they have come up with a suspect accused of 6 different incidences of bottle bombings around our area. That's Manuel Joyner, and he's currently in the Prince George's lockup on $50 million bond. Just moments ago, live coverage for you here on News Channel 8. We heard from the different jurisdictions and all of the felony charges that have been lodged against Joyner. Our Mike Canine is standing by for us live in Largo, in front of one of the locations where Joyner is accused of placing a bottle bomb. Mike, 2 things. One, it was remarkable to hear the level of cooperation and coordination between these fire departments here, because this spanned, as you heard, a number of different jurisdictions and even states. And 2, the length of time this has been going on. The first one of these things happened in March, and I think a lot of people will be surprised to know that it's gone back that far.
That's right, Dave, and that collaboration you were just referencing, that's going to continue for months, maybe years from now, because of the trial. The prosecution of this individual will require collaboration of local jurisdictions, and at the state level they'll have to figure out where this man will be tried and in what order this is going to happen. And frankly, we're still figuring out just how many charges are pending against him. Some have not even been filed in 2 jurisdictions we know, in Anne Arundel County as well as in Alexandria. Charges have not yet been filed or in the process of being filed, but a huge number of charges he's facing, and many, many years in prison if he is in fact convicted. So here's what we knew going into this press conference, that 20-year-old Manuel Joyner was arrested Saturday in Bowie. We learned today, though, at this press conference, he was arrested without incident outside a Home Depot in Bowie where he's said to work, and that he apparently admitted his involvement in all 6 incidents that started back March 8th in Hanover, Maryland. The second incident happened in Alexandria, April 5th, according to investigators, followed by an incident May 4th in Silver Spring. Then a couple of incidents at the Tyson's Corner movie theater, the AMC Tyson's Corner 16, one on May 18th and another on May 25th. And the same weekend, another incident in Largo, here behind me at the Magic Johnson movie theater. Now, as for a motive, that was one question we heard over and over again from the media staged here at this press conference, and investigators say this active investigation is still underway. They don't want to get too much into a motive or what they may have found in the Bowie home of Manuel Joyner. But as you mentioned, Dave, the charges against him are very serious. Manufacture, possession, and detonation of a destructive device. That alone, that one count, a felony count, could get him in prison for 25 years. That's the maximum possible sentence, and as you know, there are multiple charges pending in multiple jurisdictions. So that is, in Fairfax County, for example, there were 3 different bombs that were detonated, and in Fairfax County alone, that adds up to 9 felonies. So that also includes, as well, arson of an occupied public building and use of weapons for a terrorist act. Now, a person who answered the phone when an Associated Press reporter called Joyner's home over the weekend said that she was not even aware that he had been arrested and did not know whether or not he had an attorney, would not say that to the reporter calling. During the search, after the arrest, the home was searched by multiple jurisdictions, investigators not just from local jurisdictions, but also the FBI and the ATF. All these law enforcement agencies work together in a task force once they started to notice a pattern in these incidents. And earlier, just a short time ago, law enforcement officials discussed how they formed that task force. Take a listen.
This widespread of a task force has not been used in the Washington region since the serial arsonist case of 2003 to 2005. While this is still an active and open investigation, we could not have made such a swift arrest without the cross-jurisdictional cooperation of all the agencies that I mentioned a few minutes ago. Manuel Joyner Bell, Jr. is being held at the Prince George's County Correctional Facility on the felony charge of manufacture, possession, and detonation of an explosive device, with bond set at $50 million.
Another question that came up several times during this press conference was about the contents of these bottle bombs, and law enforcement officials, as you might expect, are very hesitant to detail what the ingredients were, but they did acknowledge, generally speaking, when they see these types of objects, of bombs, that they're typically made with typical household products that anybody can buy at a local grocery store, usually including contents of baking soda and vinegar, but there is concern that these bottle bombs, at least some of them, may have contained acid or metals that could have resulted in more injuries. Fortunately, in all of these incidents, there were no reported injuries, just very, very frightened people. And of course, Dave, you have to think of these people in that dark environment of a movie theater, relaxing on a Saturday night with families and friends. You think back to that incident in Aurora, Colorado, the shock and the terror that those folks experienced, and you have to imagine that those images of what people saw on their television screens at home were going through their minds as they were suddenly evacuated. Thousands of people in each of these incidents. A very frightening incident, and police here today saying they hope that moviegoers can rest assured knowing that at least this one suspect is behind bars.
You do have to think that it does make a lot of folks feel a little bit better. Remarkable, just running down on my notes here, 4 charges in Anne Arundel County, 3 felony charges in Alexandria, and again, some of these have not been filed yet. 2 felony charges in Montgomery County, and those 9 charges that you referenced that Chief Mike Riley talked about in Fairfax County. And that's not even counting what he faces in Prince George's. We should know more. He's got a bond hearing, does Manuel Joyner, this afternoon. And you also have to think that $50 million bond is likely to be reduced at that time. But as we heard earlier, too, that if he, by some measure, should be able to make that bond, a lot of other law enforcement agencies that would be very anxious to arrest him and hold him in their lockup. Mike Canine with some big help in understanding just a remarkable series of events, of crimes of which this young man is accused, and the remarkable cooperation and collaboration to try and put together the case against him. Mike, thank you very much.